bushafo ene momian ka nokore enche ye ho die Ghana parliament ye no obi oka say ye bia oboa no ka nokore both the NDC and the MPP and the speaker of parliament or say ka nokore kire mpanimfo ne say ba bi mo do man ne fa enye.
We record parliament. He has come to illegally against parliamentary without engaging us, knowing that there was chaos. There was chaos in the chamber, and he knew that the right thing to do was to engage us and to get the NDC to sit on his left. He refused to do that. So we would compel parliament to sit.
And you see there be NDC for the kind of parliament to jam. Ekwata makunya so. E see then and there be NDC for the kind jam. Ekwata makunya. MPP for men kind of question leadership say you weak leaders. So I cannot compare more all those time no. They da na mo ye. Etia ke de Japan. Ke de Japan ko na nya. Ke de Japan ko na nya na base. And I no don't pay frank no pay more. And then this for the change from the parliament no. I from Makwaba at the Bass Solid TV. A production at the Free Ghana Ken Studio. We are by the internet and what there's on Kuntia the content in the bro. Medin at the Shaibula CC na and then so ye sing kunya. Abra Speaker of Parliament. Yes, I was two parliaments. I said that you nimno. I quite send me bree or me shebe your fee. The minority a press conference. The majority a press conference. Nisia why the majority one minority. Akwa and same for now to avoid anything. I want to address them as the NDC caucus and the MPP caucus on my press conference. Na me chamwaba. Me ba yebedi nkomo bibiri.
Finally, my family is free because of Rome Villa Estate. Yes, this estate is responsible for selling affordable litigation-free lands that have electricity, water, and accessible roads. I am so happy.
The production of the Free Ghana can see you are internet what is on Coutinho. Yeah, the content. Me say what share a lot of videos, a lot of pictures are akosome sebe jefie. Ane na ewie ye no the majority leader and as I mean for the minority leader after your marking and then the caucus no akwa ensem twofo hia but e come say the first one of ye no na mama part of deputy majority leader no ye hunu we senso no so ye hunu honorable chairman sabunso me ma hunu na busuafo ene momian ka nokore enche ye ho die Ghana parliament ye no obi oka say ye bia oboa dem so ka nokre both the NDC and the MPP and the speaker of parliament na mpese ye kohwe afenyo marking video iba ye ba enko bibiri fio o se ka nokre kire mpanimfo ne say ba ibe mo do man ne fa no enye enko video ni bra
speaker ofumu amonka yesu ye fumu amonka na Ghana ba ku pe na ewo dia NDC for ne ye no mpese Ghana ejeto ho fum no mo kan kire so wa fum on se ne suban dia speaker di kan ye no speaker dia speaker di kan ye no ye yan kontokwa o oka di oka ye no ye ndidi na tem ye ka kire say speaker wo dia waka ye di court na court ebua asem no court edi kan ebua asem no speaker si on ti ase of a lawyer Emma lawyer no call court. Eko kasama onu speaker said there be the Supreme Court ka no wafo Supreme Court afom. Supreme Court e di asem no Ghana nyina hwe TV. Ena Supreme Court aka said there be speaker. Enya wo tumi na obetumi aka say obi seat we declare vacant. Eyenyen nti asem no eda yenim. Asem no so beda ha na wo ya aware. Nti eba ne say ena say wo be kasasa. Speaker lawyer nankasa ka say speaker ye ruling okoso justify speaker say mo kan e ma ne ka say Supreme Court ko na ye wo no enye wo ne the right forum je say ye ko high court sansema ne lawyer kan ni nyina court e den ebogu ye nti dia na ye expect an opay ni say speaker eni NDC for no beka saka chom say there be baby amote na ye ho na mote e ho no ye edom kase and PP4 yeah, for your mark no sir. For your marking here, majority leader, equania. But speaker, one yes, sir, or better on, or yes, we won't be uncrophonity. But Nina say, only Munano, or Moya Baku. Omuna NDC answer na NDC for be bibi no ankasa one no omuni na adwen ho nti omuni ndi omoye wo be hwe endra press conference oyeye no press conference oyeye no wan kasa se ope enkabom ana akroye o attack o mampani o attack judiciary Supreme Court ekeka nsem bebria yen esan se yebu no bi nti no yan be respondo say yet the oka yet ye but yen MPP for embrana ye disunity yan be kase ntia no ne ye expect say nde or the court assembly ye dwuma and then put there obi ano lawyer akọ court no wan ka court ho asem kra wan kase wakọ court ama wedi nkuguo ani nti no and then you anum nyina wa ha dia ye be say ka ne say ye be di mbra so ye ntumirika eni ne omo nkoko ntokwa NDC for there omo bibia ye ntokwa omo bibia ne ntokwa so mo di enyoma be say wa Ghana na Ghana aye basabasa ye de ya dwen oma no ya ma bibi sense ya da mo ase
answer to this no be answer Charlie, your answer. Wait, she's one of us.
Still a member of parliament. Are you still contesting as a candidate?
Hey, can you answer that question? That's what
Of course, I'm still a member of parliament. The ticket of MPP. Thank you.
I know why.
You're a member of majority.
Answer.
Okay, thank you. With that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. The content, no. No, the content will come, and the impeachment will come after the content. Who impeach him? That one. What we have said it.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes. That will make sure that he follows due process.
Colleagues, I think an important point. Patrick has raised an important point. Yes. We will continue to compel the speaker to follow due process. We recall Parliament. He has come to illegally adjourn Parliament without engaging us, knowing that there was chaos. There was chaos in the chamber. And he knew that the right thing to do was to engage us and to get the NDC to sit on his left. He refused to do that. So we would compel Parliament to sit.
Yes.
And for the right government business to be transacted. We are going to do it. We will not allow the speaker to have his way. He's not a member of parliament. The speaker is not a member of parliament. He presides over parliament. We, the members of parliament, determine the business of parliament. So we'll recall parliament again. I'm saying that we'll recall parliament. We'll recall parliament. We'll recall parliament.
This parliament expires on the 6th of January 2025. So we have time.
Video akɔhwɛ yi ɛyɛ afɛn marking a ɔne nsɛntwɛfo edi nkɔmɔ ɛnɛ MPP kɔkɔ so ma wu sɛ nnɛ nsɛntwɛfo ɛho hia sɛ wokan agyapade document a wonim portion bi a ɛsɛ yɛ allocate dem ma a so-called senior journalist ɛnɛ hɔ yɛ adi senior journalist ɔmo abɛka MPP asɛm ama ɔmo ɛnɛ ɔmo a na ɔmo yɛ senior journalist no omo na ne de mo from so omeka bi mamo and the MPP caucus no omo how powerful the journalists or the media is NDC for and this crowd consumption for a political party be opposition who the importance of journalists or the media oba ba mu pe no ato match because oba ba mu a ono abe man nko frequencies no ma bi MPP IAB NDC ebe ye bi na busuafo yi ye the side we chichire oman na be da akoso your media platforms are MPP dia your media platform NDC dia enti assembly kwa ye say dey ya ye say oh enka ne sa say to say dey ya enka ne sa we solid TV ebi mu ka say oh mo ye NDC for mo anti MPP because the ye kan omo mpe and okro the so ye kan utie afoyo mic na asema o say NDC form person parliament betenase ma omode free SH bill na call parliament ne akwa wo jeto remra we say aye bongo taxes free education na do aye in the first term 2017 ko check e bra free education first batch for the school over because na do mamu no ko na wie na fi no ba be bill and at this point how they atra ho after your market start to raise issue bi and I speak I say and I speak I say me put me address MPP caucus NDC caucus and a speaker of parliament yeah a democracy mudi diagono and democracy and constant figure as a son or bit my son at any time yenim amaya omu democracy anyini che Ghana no mudi diagro and democracy na from wisdom. So speaker of parliament who is speaker of Ghana's parliament, not speaker of NDC parliament or speaker of MPP parliament. Any question my NDC attack then a show any question my MPP attack a show because Professor Michael Kwe every year man a show. And until an asana formula seat no you declare vacant. But speaker of parliament abamba and no so you know man introduce form. The minority side or make the MPP caucus. The majority side, the NDC caucus, the minority or the majority side. I was some to soft stance. Now, mo shema edge mine. Now, unim, dear sitting in ano, yemben both MPP and NDC because they've given it a weak leadership. I'm saying this because, Ufus are reduced to Muntakamo and that's the NDC caucus. And a chairman Sabu Sumu, and so that's the NPP caucus. On making on mine interest. But these two political parties, MPP and DC, or mark of boys, they will do their business for there. I never cause a rule before I remember Parliament one. Now NDC for no caucus no shia. Now MP for no caucus no shia. Mokwa Montia said, Monye say, and I said, I do baby see. Obi Fema say, I do BC. Do you have the nation at heart? What do you mind? NDC for you, the MP for you. Hey, after your marking, what just only good leadership skills, only lobbying skills that do you don't know chairman Sabusu and the majority leader and the leader of the MPP because I will see. Sebi, you will be a quiet in the copper bossy. Nipananimo yam, your friend and MPP, fete, you may chairman Sabusu, you may use that damper anymore. And then NDC side can start to force him. The MP before Kano. Then if I pay that to about I say, free education, for the and the MPP, you are hiding behind free education. Now, free education, no, what percent of the car and come on the court. Now, one thing I'm a person may address it. I am MPP before. I remember double standard in the MPP airplay. And then my missing Morrison, Aguna West independent, and then so. You were treating this woman like say, oh, you're trash, oh, Moniso. And then say, oh, you're a member of MPP caucus. Are you not ashamed of yourself? Said MPP caucus. And numbers say, dear Mamunte, and then Moses Sinta Morrison, I am Hunipa. Said Sinta Morrison, and that's a member of the MPP caucus. Other than a suspending Nipa 5 on the constituency. Somebody Sinta Morrison. Now MPP need the next year. Yes, suspend must suspend first vice, must suspend secretary, must suspend women organizer, the deputy. Them say, as it deputy communication officer or the communication officer himself. Simply because most say Sanko for women or Miss Sinta Morrison a call Nakranda, most suspect or most support Sinta Morrison. Now Sabi, or be supporting MPP near, yes, suspended no. Mahune. Oh, yeah, and the MPP actually our money getting salmon and mana baby chichomukum and for more to me, son. Mama NDC, Tia Omoyamo Parliament, and then must say, those you won't put them on make class or Parliament. But one line say, oh, I see there be an NDC for the kind of Parliament to jam. A quarter of Kunyaso. A sit day, and there be an NDC for the kind jam. A what time akunya MPP for men kind of question leadership say you weak leaders. Who is the ship? Frank I don't pay more. Oh do no. They na mo ye etia kan de Japan. Kan de Japan ko na nya, kan de Japan ko na nya na base. And then I no don't pay Frank I don't pay more. And then this for the change out from the parliament. No? And to one demand she put the MPP caucus on say this is where I near my end for person we te chaw me ko parliament te o me ba na your side and as a mo for the parliament wo musuru and mo ko akote tempo mama na mo say end for what time say o say ya bo ko te parliament na speaker so agenda the speaker let us see you as a leader ada ka asema o kan che chemesa bunsu ubusa say the number say who are number 3? The number 3 you cannot even control parliament. What we can share the parliamentary the marshal in parliament say, walk say we also MP out. And they say NDC MP, can't you walk the person out? Say if you deem say I am not Supreme Court ruling, you want to abide by it, can't you walk them out? Marshal more you are MP say, you're not walking out. And also no other call. And to number 3, President New Vice New and number 3 was also there in your parliament today. Moment can occur. Share. I didn't know. Yeah, I'm say more time. Mon permanence become a can occur. Eh? I didn't know. See, I'm sure you can occur. I was for Ghana, you make a clear man who my baby come. Not for the or more kind of other country. Ghana, Kwaku. Yamin pengu omokumuni pase omokumase na ya ni ayesa ade no hwe me can me say democracy wrong. It's not a constant figure. Democracy is not a constant figure, and democracy cannot be guaranteed unless you said we want to protect the democracy one. Hwe Cote d'Ivoire no matter aba asa mampeni ayese Laurent Gbagbo ene wa rasa ne watara e dey see I didn't see you. You are more democracy and you not change the quabo. Share and ne. Oh, yeah, a man of train who is here. Ghana send a bucking and a boy, share me boy. Niger's way. Share a man cool not the idea sim. And now you attend the Burkina for Australia phobia, another militia be a picture or so. See a dear go say, I know about the phone. Not for your question, she. And for when people attack them to for when this attack them to change, now we hear you from Ghana. Now, idea Kosui, parliamentary, blame President Kufuado. Oh, no, Master, I never win in AC. So, I can't say one son, Professor Marco Queen or son, and Moto Abadamana. And Kadiesini Abusha 4. Mommy and you know, my own face. Never be a number dear. MY. Yakoy after marking video portion, but yet did the full interview at the Atwasomo. Just relax and watch it.
States held meetings with Mr. Speaker. As a majority leader and leader of government business and leader of the House, I had the opportunity to also meet with them. The understanding I had from the meeting as a sequel to the meeting they had already held with Mr. Speaker was to the effect that Mr. Speaker will direct the NDC minority to sit at their right place, which is the left of Mr. Speaker. That was the understanding I had. I subsequently had a call from the Peace Council. The Peace Council informed me that they had engaged Mr. Speaker on the issue before Parliament, and Mr. Speaker had indeed indicated to the Peace Council that he had not ruled, neither has he proclaimed the NDC minority, and that should we resume or should Parliament reconvene, the NDC minority will go back to their seats. Several other prominent Ghanaians, who for some good reasons I would not want to mention their names, who had engaged Speaker on this matter, had also reached out to us, the majority caucus, and assured us that Mr. Speaker's engagement with them resulted in he admitting that indeed there was no such ruling, which ruling would now proclaim the NDC as a so-called new majority. Now, from the horse's own mouth, granted that all these prominent people misrepresented to us the majority. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker himself, in his press conference in the afternoon, enumerated a number of things. Amongst them, he said he had not made a ruling. He told the whole of the country that he had not made a ruling. So, if he claims that what he did was a formal communication in response to a statement from the minority leader, then why is he supervising chaos in the House? What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. The NDC minority members were all over claiming that we, the majority, did not attend a so-called business committee meeting that they called. Who are they? When did we constitute a new committee in Parliament? I chaired the business committee of Parliament. And when the clerk to Parliament asked for the business committee meeting, I was very explicit that the subject matter of the recall, which was approved by Mr. Speaker, is a very matter for consideration. So there's no need to have another business committee. Business committee is to decide on the business of the House. On this occasion, you have made an application, which application has been granted. And the items that were approved were the very things to be decided on. So I directed that the order paper should be printed to reflect all those items. Fortunately, Mr. Speaker himself read the two letters, the first one and the second one that amended the first, and indicated to the whole country that indeed our deputy majority whip, the second deputy majority whip, had actually sent those letters to him. He acknowledged him as such. Clearly, the NDC is on a war path. They want confusion in this country. They want lawlessness in this country. And all these are being supervised by Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
It is sad. It is very sad. And I would want to entreat you, the media, to call them out, to call the NDC out, to call Mr. Speaker out. Because what is it? What at all is the issue? You have made a ruling which you now say is an opinion. We disagreed with you. We've gone to another forum where, by law, that forum has the power to interpret the law. We respected Mr. Speaker's ruling. In all of these, my first interview after his ruling was to the fact that I respect him, I disagree with him, therefore my colleagues and I were withdrawing from the chamber and will pursue the matter at the Supreme Court, which matter he was already aware was pending at the Supreme Court. And I will repeat the point I made a week ago. Mr. Speaker had assured me in the presence of the second deputy speaker, Honorable Amwakwesiama, in his office, that in view of the pendency of the suit, although the NDC had filed that petition, which petition was mounted by Harun Idrisu, he would hear them, but will wait and abide the decision of the court. I was fair enough, I was transparent enough to have engaged him as a head of this assembly, that because Haruna had raised the issue and to avoid confusion, I was going to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation. I did not go to Supreme Court in bad faith, and it wasn't the case that a matter was happening in Parliament and I ran away to the Supreme Court. I ran away from Parliament to Supreme Court to seek refuge. No, I foresaw confusion. And indeed, what Harun Idrisu filed, why did they set it aside? Harun Idrisu had initiated a process under Order 99 of our rules, which will require a process to be set in motion. Why did they suddenly come under Order 93, which allows for a statement. When in the history of this parliament since 1992 did a statement metamorphose into a motion, which motion now will require a ruling? You see, Speaker is setting the country on fire. Yes. Yesterday, we were disappointed with his non-reconciliatory posture during this press conference. Indeed, we, the majority caucus, call on Mr. Speaker one more time to demonstrate statesmanship. Yes. We want Mr. Speaker to know that although we were not happy on the day he was elected, some of our colleagues perhaps has seen something good in him. It wasn't the NDC that put him there for him to do the bidding of the NDC. Perhaps people felt that he could be someone who will bring all of us together. Yes. There are things that we cannot say into the camera. But Mr. Speaker is hurting democracy. Yes. What Mr. Speaker is doing is to rehearse what the NDC is likely to do should they lose power, to bring chaos, to cause confusion. How can Mr. Speaker say that he respects the Constitution, but he will not subject himself to the dictate of the judiciary? How can you say that the judiciary is in collusion, is colliding with the president, and you mention the president as a person, as an individual? How? What Mr. Speaker is doing is in bad faith. First of all, he subjected himself to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And after losing at the Supreme Court, he turns around to attack the Supreme Court. His own lawyer, my respected senior Confusi0n, in court, argued forcefully that Mr. Speaker made a ruling, and he sought to justify the so-called ruling and even challenge the jurisdiction of the court in entertaining my application. For him, the matter comes under Article 99 of the Constitution and not under Article 97 G and H of the Constitution. To the NDC lawyer, to the Speaker's lawyer, who had received firm instructions from the Speaker, the position of the Speaker was home and dry, was on all fours right, and that Mr. Speaker had ruled, and that those members could not come to Parliament. Again, he had emphasized that the right forum was the High Court. Yes. All these points canvassed by Mr. Speaker's lawyer were overruled. The matter was heard in the full glare of the public. There was a live broadcast of the Supreme Court proceedings of that day. The ruling of the Supreme Court has been procured by me as plaintiff. The Supreme Court bailiff has served the ruling, the second ruling, on Mr. Speaker. His lawyers were given up to 3rd of November to file their written submissions, statements of case in defense, if any. So what are all these, perhaps I call it ex cathedra statement of Speaker, creating an impression as though those statements he's making are an authority on their own? It cannot be. A true Democrat will respect the rule of law. Yes. And that is why we decided to respect him. You know, ladies and gentlemen of the press, NPP, our tradition is to respect rule of law. Yes. It's out of deference to Mr. Speaker. That is why we did not enter the chamber. That we should share in that chaos theater with them. Never. We will do that. We will not. MPP will not. We will not. Therefore, don't be swayed by their lies and their propaganda. The chaos they started is what they want to end. We will not allow that. We believe that we have to win the elections right at the polling station and would go and work. Right now, what the NDC has done, basically, are the following. One, they don't want Ghanaians to receive their pay, public servants, because they know that after the elections, there will be no budget. And to be able to pay Ghanaian workers, there will be the need for parliamentary approval of the budget first quarter. That would be on account, appropriation on account. That's it's a constitutional requirement. So that is what they want. They want to stampede it. Two, they want to again create a certain impression that Ghana is lawless. Ghana is not lawless. We will not allow them to give a wrong impression to the international community. We will respect the law. Three, all these businessmen, you know, their fear is that under the 1D, 1F, these companies are going to create jobs. These companies will employ people. So their fear is that should these be addressed, it will mean that all their propaganda of unemployment would fall flat. So further to frustrate businessmen and drive them away. Are these Democrats?
No.
Now there are important things to do. We have the free SHS bill, which is before Parliament. Their main aim is to conspire with Mr. Speaker to prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And in an unlikely situation where they see the light of day in the election, cancel it. That, oh, after all, there's no law backing it. Their main target is a free SHS bill. That is why there was a pre-announcement of its laying in Parliament, and you remember how they fought against it. So it's an opportunity for them to, as it were, prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And if they succeed in doing that, to them, in their wishful minds, in their wishful thinking, parents will get upset and then say that after all, the free SHS was not working. The free SHS has benefited many Ghanaians, in spite of the challenges. We know as a country, the reforms that have been made by two ministers, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and Dr. Yao Educhum. These two gentlemen who were assigned to superintend over the education ministry have done so well, and the outcome of their works is known to all Ghanaians. This is what the NDC want to set back. Thank you very much indeed. I would want. Now they also made some noise in the chamber. They also made, you know, they double talk. They double talk. They do double speaking, double talking. Whenever a person lies, he fails to even be inconsistent. In the chamber, where they rushed to go and sit, and again, the clerk this morning, we pre-inspected the chamber. The clerk diligently arranged our name tags at where they were. They came and they physically removed them. And this is where, with the greatest respect and in all humility and in all modesty, my dear friends in the media, help us to shape opinion in the right way.
Get the message across properly.
Get the message across. They came in there and unlawfully removed our name tags, pulled their chairs to our place and sat on our seats. And Speaker, the cameras, I was watching in my office, and I'm sure you guys are set up. You set your cameras up proud to Mr. Speaker's arrival. You saw what happened. Let the Ghanaian people know. Now they said our members were not present. They claim that those, if indeed the Supreme Court had ruled, why were those members who were affected not in the chamber? Because Mr. Speaker has said nothing about them. This is what Kwame Agboja, making that point. Honorable Kwame Agboja said the members have had a favorable ruling from the Supreme Court, so they should have come. Really, if the Supreme Court ruling is being respected by them. Why did they move to the right of Mr. Speaker?
Why
My respected colleague Cynthia Morrison is here. I said it in my plaint in court that she remains a member of our caucus. And she's here with us as a majority caucus. Nothing short of that. So I would want you to take note. Now, we look forward to engaging Mr. Speaker in the next few hours and days. We pray that he does the needful. If he doesn't do the needful, we will continue to rely on the law to get the right things done. The partisan politics that they are festing on us in the chamber must cease, must end. Parliament is a chamber for decent people. Parliament is a chamber for tolerant Democrats. Parliament is a chamber for people who want nation building without taking advantage of situations to score cheap political points. We will yield to these high values and high tenets of democracy. Thank you very much.
No question. Okay. No. Okay, we'll allow some few questions. Okay.
Majority leader.
Yes.
Majority leader, two things. First,
who is going to do the tree for us?
There are those who have said that by the conduct of Mr. Speaker, he has gone against the ruling of the Supreme Court, and by his refusal or failure to actually ask the NDC MPs to go back to their minority side, they might be in contempt. Is that the view you share? Yes. And then lastly, there are those who said that if he's in contempt, that would mean that he has breached his oath of office and you may even initiate process to impeach him.
Well, let's engage him.
He's right on both.
Let's engage him. Get him to appreciate. Let's get him to appreciate the consequences of not obeying the Supreme Court decision, and let us also pray that civil society and Ghanaians in general will prevail upon the NDC lawless minority to know that decency is the rule of the game. Thank you very much. She is a member of parliament. Listen. Wait. You see, wait. I will not in any way attack any media house, but I believe that the discourse is a two-way traffic. For instance, I won't mention that station's name, but a station invited me, and when I went for a program, after we had agreed on the issues, they now said to me that a big man from that station says that they should address me as leader of MPP caucus. And I asked that a Speaker of Parliament has made a pronouncement. Granted, at the first instance he was right. A superior court has overruled him. So the status quo has been restored. Further, the Speaker has challenged the first decision of the court. All right? And that has been adjudicated upon. And it has been determined. So two rulings have come out after his ruling, which he calls an opinion. Is there an issue of who is in majority and minority? You, the media, I want to ask you. So I would plead with you, no matter how you feel, let us all help with the law. We all know in the US, in the US, I'm referring the media to something that happened in the US. We all know that CNN leans towards the Democrats. if you watch CNN carefully, you will know that CNN leans towards the Democrats and Fox leans towards the Republicans. But as soon as Trump was elected, CNN put all their biases aside and went straight. In fact, they were among the first news, let me finish, to have projected Trump's victory in spite of all their disagreement with Trump's views or political views. You get my point? And I would want to urge on you, the media, to do same. You may not be in support of MPP. I agree.